Welcome to WellKit, the podcast where we discuss workplace well-being in all its forms and we explore what it really takes to have healthier workplaces. In each episode, we have experts from various industries, from leadership on different leadership levels, from academia, from science, and everything we talk about is aimed at helping people and organizations grow and be well. WellKit is enabled by FitKit, the application that provides and improves workplace well-being in the corporate world by providing flexible solutions for exercising, relaxation, and mental health. I am Anna Kostovska. I'm your host. I'm a licensed psychologist with experience in people and organizational development and leadership. And my line of work is connected with creating systems where people feel appreciated, supported, and motivated to realize their potential, and organizations to grow as well. Today we have a topic that is present in every organization but is often overlooked, and that is our ability to really understand people, and not just what they're saying but what is happening underneath. And we will explore how this shapes the communication, the productivity, and well-being. And I have the honor today of speaking on this topic with Iliyana Tarnina, who has more than 20 years on HR and leadership positions, working with leaders and teams in international companies, building them from scratch, and helping organizations grow. Through her work, she brings a very deep understanding of how people and organizations work. And she's also the founder of SheCircle, a network, female network for support for growth among women. Iliyana, welcome, and thank you for being here. And before we go into the topic, you have spent years building teams and organizations. And what has your journey been like?
First of all, thank you, Anna, for inviting me. It's really nice to be here. Even the travel for Sofia Skopje was an excitement for me, so it's really good to be here. Wow, my journey now, looking back at it, it looks like a real race, a long marathon. But I would say the marathon looks like you have a certain rhythm that is not that bad, while the race is like you're running all the time. So I think I've been running all these 20 plus years.
That's very intensive.
Yes.
And long period.
It's a very long period, a long period to prove, a long period to survive, a long period to know that you have to overcome every next challenge that is in front of you. And yes, it looked like that because starting companies from scratch looks as a very effort-bringing exercise, but it brings such a pleasure in the end. At some point, I go like, okay, I think I'm very, very exhausted here. Have I missed something on the way? Is it just these successes that I really need? Or is there something else around in the world that actually I can pay attention to? And yeah, I started looking at myself in first place. This is the thing that I believe was important in this change and transformation. Because I realized that at companies, I tend to meet one and the same challenge. So I have certain people that I work very well with, perhaps those that are very close to myself as a nature and personality. And there were people that I always had troubles to get along. These were, let's say, the people that disagreed but didn't say it out loud, or the people that were delaying after the deadlines but they didn't warn in advance.
And that happens very often.
And that happens
in
very
every
often.
Organization.
Yes, absolutely. Or the people that are more emotional, because I was more rational. So I was struggling to build trust and relationship with these people. I was struggling to get an efficient result out of them. So this is when I looked back and I thought, so maybe this is something that I need to work on and I need to develop instead of developing organizations all the time.
Why do you believe it is so important to know what is happening with people, not just what they're saying, but what's happening underneath?
Well, only with the fact that the verbal side of what we are saying is just only 7% of all communication. So 93% is nonverbal. It's what our body says, our voice, our intonation. So if we just don't use this information, it makes our decisions, it makes our interactions, it makes our reality not really the one that it's the real, right? So we're just staying on the surface. We are missing the biggest part of what's actually going on. And this already works against us if we don't pay attention to it, because very often what we expect doesn't happen in the end.
When people say read the room, what does it actually look like for people, for teams, as well as for the individuals inside?
Well, reading the room, it's a nice term. It actually means as well to read the room. It also means like to look around yourself, see this room, how big it is, what does it have, where is this room. So if you have the people inside this room, is this somebody's territory? So this is all part of the context that you always need to have in mind as well, not just who is in there and what we're saying. So starting with the room, you need to just consider that. And then, of course, you look at the people as a whole, as a group, as a team, depending on who is in there. But you look at the energy level, you look at what does it look like? Do we have an agreement, alignment? Do we have tension? Do we have people that are bored or already disagreeing, reacting to something? So the first look is all about the energy and how it is on a team level. Because then you enter a room and then you need to calibrate. Because at the moment that you start speaking, you want to actually end up exactly there where you want. And it cannot happen if you just do it your own way and if you don't notice anything around you. So this is how it looks on a team level. Then in this team, you always have the formal and informal leaders, right? Mm-hmm. So some of them have titles, others, however, influence even more than the ones with the title. So you need to observe that because it's very important in terms of then getting the job done, right?
How do you know which ones are the one that have the influence, either though they're not, they don't have the position?
Yeah, well, it's not just the body language and the confidence, but it's also you can look at the rest. So sometimes people just look at those informal leaders for approval. So they want to be liked by these people. They want to say the right things. They want disapproval all the time. So just noticing that somebody look at somebody, it means already that this is a leader in the backside.
So, Iliyana, we talked about reading the room as a room and then reading the team energy. What happens on an individual level? How does that look like?
That's the most important part, actually, because every trust and every relationship starts on an individual level first. So every person has their own style of presence, even. So whether it's posture, whether it's body language, whether it's the way we use our hands, the way we smile, the way we lean back or forward in different ways. So one of the first things that I look into when I enter a room and a meeting is how is everybody today? So how are they? What's the mood? What's the energy? How are they? Their postures. This is called in people reading a baseline. This is the initial stage you start interaction with. And what matters is the shift from it. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter whether you touch your hair, but it matters if it starts surprisingly at some point of conversation. That already means something. So you need to be very much attentive to those details because this is what the body says, apart from the verbal side that you may be speaking or not speaking about. On the second place, when we look at individuals, we look at these micro expressions. So the face, even if it is for less than a second, can say a lot about what a person feels. And this already gives the information on how they perceive what we're talking about, or even if it's a person coming in the room, or even if it is a topic that comes out into the picture. So by the way these micro expressions appear on the face, you can see whether the person is hesitant, whether he's afraid, whether he feels tensed about a certain topic, situation, a person coming in. So all this is extremely important again to observe versus the initial baseline that we entered the room in. Again, these are the details that say a lot more than the words. Last but not least, exactly this need that we talked about. So we built our perception of what's this individual driven by. Is it the status? Is it the ego? Is it the fact that he likes not entering into conflict situations? So going back to my own issues in the beginning, I now know that the person that needs to feel accepted and feels to feel part of a group, he doesn't like conflicts. So he would rarely speak out loud if he disagrees, because he likes and he loves and he's aiming at being liked himself. So he wouldn't go into conflict or confrontation with somebody. So these are the aspects that you need to consider always when you have individual in front of you, and you know this way what to expect as a behavior or lacking behavior. And then you can address this individually or in the meeting, depending on the situation.
From what you're saying until now, it looks like a lot of noticing needs to be done, a lot of awareness for a lot of details. And how good are people in that? It looks like a talent that you have or don't have.
Well, as we said, 93%. So if we want to look at this, we will, with our eyes, we can see all this, or we can ignore all this. So it's a matter of attention and observation. Attention is the most important ingredient in every interaction. So if you just don't pay attention to what's going on, if you want to be the one seen, visible, it doesn't allow you to actually be in this reality. It allows you to show yourself, but this is an ego trying to survive. This is not the real authority that you can build. Because real authority doesn't need noise, doesn't need to be seen, it doesn't need approval, it doesn't need to dominate, it doesn't need to be loud. So from that perspective, if you are able to put your ego aside, you can actually influence a lot more, and you can not only create an environment of trust where everybody wins, but you can just lead everybody toward the direction you want, and everybody feels good with this.
It looks like a lot of
responsibility
and the big skill. And that doesn't really happen often in organizational settings. Often the one who is the leader is the loudest, and the others say. Sometimes they say if they disagree, sometimes more of the times they say yes, boss. And it would be wonderful if people really like to hear people, but we know it's not really happening most of the times. And from your experience, what are the signals that get missed most of the times? What do people miss most of the times?
Oh, well, a lot of times it's a huge issue in my view that we interpret too much. So we assume, we base our actions, reactions, behaviors on assumptions. So this is something that really makes the reality different, obviously, and it's usually brought up by our own needs to be seen, to be approved, or to be accepted, or to just show ourselves. So if we are able to control that, we become the authority figures. We become the ones that control the whole interaction, the results out of it, and the complete outcomes of every relationship that we build around us. So when it comes to assumptions, it's also something that we need to step back and just get self-aware, because in many situations we just judge. We judge.
Yes, we're quick to judge.
We are very quick to judge, yes.
And then people feel misunderstood. And what
we
happens?
We misunderstand. And then we believe we're living in one and the same reality, but in fact we're not. Because the ones that assume, they just go their own way, and whether somebody follows is a question. And on the other side, people feel disengaged because they are not read or, let's say, seen and understood. They are not accepted with their needs. And in that sense, they just stay, or they may act out of fear. But when there is fear in a team or in an organization, we have seen a lot of politics coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So people try to compensate what they cannot express, what they cannot meet as a need. So they try to overcompensate. So the more the politics is, the more you can understand that people's needs are not met. So that's actually very interesting to observe as a culture in an organization.
How does it look like? How does it show up? What have you seen?
The politics, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
When there is a lot of politics and people not really being seen and understood.
Well, it looks like power games all the time. It looks a lot of intrigues coming to the picture, a lot of superficial, subjective and personal fights that don't bring any value to the organization. On the contrary, the organization pays all these individuals to basically go through their own battles and win their own games.
Mm-hmm. And don't focus on the productivity, and they lose on well-being.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a lose-lose situation.
Exactly.
When we don't really understand people. So we know that leaders are very important to set the tone. How does it look when a leader in a meeting, let's say, is actually present and with attention to what is happening and the people?
A good leader, although I hate these definitions, but still I believe it's very important that a leader can stay in a meeting or, let's say, in a conversation without the need to interrupt, without the need to lead all the time, but rather listen. So very rarely we see, although everybody has heard about listening skills, we don't do it.
Active listening.
Active listening.
In every communication training, there is active listening as a topic.
Exactly. But however, if you manage that, if you have this skill, if you're able to see the person, to even look at all the body language that speaks, you can not only create the feeling and the trusted environment that we talk about, because a person feels heard on first place, then understood, and then they start revealing more and more and more, and this is when you can use this to actually put your point at a certain stage of the conversation, and it lands exactly how the person will receive it, not how you want to actually express it. So being there means, on first place, listen. Being there on second place means staying emotionally neutral, meaning you don't react with your ego to some things that you disagree with, or if somebody triggers your ego in a way, you choose when and how to answer. Not every battle is something you need to go into, and not every interaction is something you need to win. So from this perspective, you're stable enough, you're controlling yourself, and this itself creates the authority in that sense. So this already is something that people recognize as authority, and they want to work with, they trust such people. And then from this perspective, from this stage, this person can already control and the whole interaction, negotiation, or whatever interaction we are in.
How can we change that? How how can leaders become more aware of the importance to be present and to be to put attention on what is happening with the people?
Well, I think it's a matter of self-awareness at some point, and it's a matter of results, because if in the end of the day you want to get the results, the best way to get the results is with the people, right? So if you don't see the people, you don't get to the results. So you work in your reality, you work in your environment, you make your own plans. Nowadays, even we have AI that can do so much more of the planning. But in the end of the day, you depend on these people, not by accident. We have certain aspects of work still in the hands of people. So if we don't know how to handle these people, this will always be a space for delays, for wrong results, or for hidden sabotages, for passive aggression, for potential conflicts that will grow at some point, for people that, let's say, play their own games and misuse the space for their own battles, etc., etc. So what we can change? Well, we can change simple things, such as, on first place, maybe remain silent when you enter a meeting. Start to observe. It's so interesting to see every individual in their own light and space, and every time it could be a different way how they want to present themselves, but there could be also a general way of how everybody sits. There is a certain profile of every person that only with 2-3 minutes of interaction you can say what their core needs and fears are. So if you go into understanding this, you will already be able to connect much more genuinely with this person, because by knowing his needs, by giving him or meeting these needs, you already create the space of trust.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. With you, for example.
Do it.
Okay. We discussed in the conversation before that you're a people person, but this usually connects with two main needs. One is to be accepted, and the other one is to be approved and recognized. So if, let's say, I'm someone that wants to create a space of trust with you, I would go into including you in a project that you may feel stronger and more significant just by the fact that you will be working with a team on a specific task that is very important. Not alone, not ignored, not excluded, but really inside the team. And then I would be somebody to always recognize every milestone that you achieve, because I know how important this would be for you. I hope it is.
Feedback always, please.
Yes. But you are a person that would give a lot to a team if you feel seen and included and understood. You're a team player, certainly. And by this, we will not only think about your piece of the work, you will also take care of everybody else to feel comfortable, to also feel supported if they need support. And this is precious. If I know this as a leader, and if I put you into this, the team will achieve so much more, right? So I wouldn't put you aside to work on an individual project. You're a team person.
This sounds very nice, and it's a great situation where you have a person like that. But what happens if you have a person who is not so cooperative? Let's say we have a leader who is 25 years, a leader who has seen a lot of teams but does not really have a time to speak about the needs, the emotions. He needs the results. He says emotions go home here. We need to be aware of the time, the tasks, the pressure. And let's say he doesn't really want to change anything.
Yeah,
How would you approach that?
But that's okay. I don't need to change people. That's the thing. So we don't need to actually say that something is wrong in people behavior. Every leader should understand and accept that every individual is a universe himself. And just knowing what every different person needs, he can use it to create the mutually beneficial relationship there. So for such a person, of course, he wants to be the significant one, the special one, the one that is driven by success, by the I have achieved because of my specific steps. So we need to give that. We need to give that. So in that case, this is a person that wants to feel special. So let him lead the project. Let him be the one that, let's say, comes up with the most important priorities, to suggest the way to move forward. To make him feel seen is something that he really needs. And regardless whether it's a formal or informal leader, in that sense, that's the way moving forward. And this is how this person becomes his piece of, special needs. And then this is how he gets motivated in that sense. And he can actually attract a lot of people like you in this project, because you will be so happy to work with a person like that who is actually showing you the direction. Because sometimes you don't need to actually do this and be the first one necessarily to make the road, to open the road.
Not always, not in every situation.
Yeah. So you don't need to, but he needs to. So in that sense, we discovered here two types of personalities. However, you know that they work well together because they have their own strengths and weaknesses that, if combined, can build a great team. But if you combine such an ego person, let's say, with another two, they could enter into a conflict very easily. So it's also important, by knowing the personalities, the way how you make your team work. So it's not always, regardless who we have. We have personalities that work very well together, others that would go into a conflict or into territory battles and control and so on. So a leader should be able to see that.
So when we have a situation where the leader has the same needs, for example, as the team members, and they all want to be put forward, how does that last and how does it end?
Well,
what have you seen happen in organization? What can be the outcome of it?
So you always need to look into, from that perspective, you need to look into who is holding the responsibility, right? So it's always about that. But when you manage your own team, it is also the team your responsibility and all the work that needs to be done. So you can decide how much of the team responsibility you can give to one or to another person, by making sure that in the end of the day this work is done. But it is also the leader's responsibility to collect this team, right? So only at the stage of hiring, you can just consider all these aspects, who with who would work well.
Yes, it would be the best if every leader could choose the people. Yes. Sometimes a person gets to work in a team that is already there. So can there be some type of calibration with those type of personalities, or does it need to end with somebody leaving the team to find a better suited environment?
Well, we're using a lot of hypotheticals here, but we're taught in organizations that open conversations, addressing issues rather early than late are important aspects of having a sustainable and healthy, even if you wish, competition within the team. But the reality is that's not always enough. So regardless, the great books. So that's why I believe this calibration that you mentioned is so important, and it comes already with the nonverbal, right?
How can we become better at this? We're not good at this. How can we become better?
Yeah. Well, maybe the first thing I would say is next time I'm making a conclusion, I would ask myself, is this based on real fact and aspects that I've observed, or is it based on my assumptions? Sometimes silence for a person may mean, okay, he's hesitating. Or maybe confidence looks like arrogance. And you put the label immediately, and then you start searching for signs and clues to prove yourself right, and just to stay with whatever conclusion you have made. And this is wrong. So we need to actually first observe, then analyze, and then put the label. Sometimes even the label is a hypothesis that we need to just double check with questions.
So again, check the assumption.
Check the assumption.
Don't
Ask
act
yourself,
on the assumption.
Exactly. Number one. Number two is next time you are pushing yourself from inside to answer before even the person has finished talking. Stay calm just for several seconds and just observe. Even if you know what the person is saying, observe the rest. So the rest of the 93% say so much more than the words. And in the end of the day, the person who actually asks questions controls more than the one who wants to say a lot and to be noisy. So, in fact, insecurity is noisy. Security is very calm and it stays comfortably in the silence. It observes and it acts, and when we say something, it ends exactly where it should, with just one sentence. This is where I would advise that we strive to go, because this means already nobody plays with our ego and we are in our inner center.
So if there's one small thing that everybody can do, each of us, what would it be? To be a little bit more empathic, more understanding.
Well, this is nice, right? But I still believe that certain people don't feel the need to see others, and they see themselves in first place. So it happens on a different stage for everyone. For some people, never happens. It's the fascinating way life goes, right? And the struggles and obstacles we face that help us grow or stay wherever we are. And I think this is okay. This is okay because we are colorful as people, the way we are, and we should have all these different types of people, so that the interaction with all of us as humans continues to be so diverse, so colorful. As we know, AI is here, so we always know what to expect there. The interaction, even through ChatGPT, is becoming in a certain way so empathetic, right? So it's very similar to maybe the ideal way we should communicate. But in fact, it's one and the same, right? One and the same approach. And at some point, you just get tired by the way it responds. So I'm all for accepting that people are different, they're on their own road that they're going to, they're facing their challenges, their successes, and this shapes the way they perceive the world in a different way. If someone feels accepted, they would say everything, they would do everything, they would work for you, they would work with you, they would partner with you, just because you see them and you accept what they are and who they are.
It sounds like so if we can get to a conclusion, what is needed for people at work, regardless of how they are, or do they notice people, or it's validating as they are. So it sounds to me like that, and just not necessarily agreeing with what they do, but validating their point of view, their needs.
Accepting, accepting. Seeing, accepting. Yeah.
Let's hope that we have more of that for everybody. As you said, people who don't have resistance are much more likely to be willing to do a lot more.
Oh, yeah, certainly. So we always have these two types of people, one that are with growth mindset and ones that are with fixed mindset. So the people that are curious and open, they will always grow. And they will always learn a lot and more, and they will progress. And people that always know the best already, yeah,
They're the best.
they're the best, right?
What's to be improved?
Yeah.
Oh, this was very very interesting, very very deep, very thoughtful, and a lot to take from there. We concluded that they actually need to understand people. Not everybody, but leaders do. And if you could leave them with one thought about understanding people, what would it be?
Yeah, well, maybe to reconsider whether it's enough to only care about numbers, strategy, sheets, because in the end of the day, people will bring the results in these sheets, right? So how well we work with people shifts this result, because people don't act on plans, they act on the way they perceive the plans. So if we don't see that, we just get a different result.
And most probably a worse result.
Most probably an unexpected result, yes.
So still reading people and knowing their needs and understanding is actually good for the business. This is a very important thing that people need to understand. We're not talking about some fluffy topics, but topics that are actually connected to the well-being as well to the business results.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
leaders really need to do this. And what do you do with leaders?
Okay, so on one side, I offer intelligence laboratories. This is how I call them, because we actually do a lot of practical exercises on learning this skill of observation. It basically includes emotions on the face, or how the body parts tell us different things in different moments. We have this behavioral profiling of how to understand who is needing what, so to give it, or who is afraid of what, so that we don't give it, because this already means we would, by touching the fears of somebody, we already go into either disengagement or distance from this person, or if he is more ego-driven, to a conflict. So I have individual programs, because some people actually want to have this skill, but they don't want others to know that they have it. I have group learnings where inside the company, where the whole leadership team already goes there to be trained on how to observe, how to notice all these little aspects in the moment of discussions, negotiations, and so on.
How do they react?
Well,
how do they accept that type of training?
So far, it's always been extremely interesting. So, of course, there are people that are skeptical at first, but they're so quickly won about the idea of being able to influence conversations, negotiations. It's extremely useful, for example, for sales teams, especially in this environment where companies are trying to survive. So learning to see your potential client, and knowing how to adapt in the moment of conversation and negotiation, because you see that he's hesitant or disagreeing or something that he's not saying, makes you in an advantage position already, because you can adapt quickly and you can still win this negotiation instead of receiving the answer in the end. Okay, send us the offer.
We'll think
You
about
will
it.
think about it. Yes, exactly. So in most of the cases, leaders or sales or HR even are extremely curious. So this is what I see. It's like they discover something that is extremely new, and they can use it in so many different ways. Fortunately or unfortunately, the first people that they test this new skill on are the children. Because it's kind of easiest, they don't hide anything, but they immediately see. But this is how you start, right? So with small little things, maybe observe 2-3 things, aspects, like the eyes, where they move, or how the shutter speed that you blink with the eyes. It tells so much about what's inside the person.
I would love to be on those training of yours.
Thank you.
It looks very
You're
interesting.
very welcome. Then next time you do the road from Skopje to Sofia, and you're very welcome to.
I would be happy to. Thank you. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for giving us this very interesting aspect and very new for a lot of organizations. I'm sure there will be a lot more opportunities and that organization will ask for these skills. And I wish you much success, and I hope we'll get a chance to do this on some other level and see how it goes. Maybe we will become more skilled at noticing.
I hope so, because we are so big and complete as people, and I hope 100% of seeing the other person helps a lot to make relationships better.
It would be better world, not for the organization, as a world. Yeah. Thank you, Iliyana. It was a pleasure.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure for me too.